Where are you and what are you doing? Because I suggest you sit down. I have some amazing news. It's quite extraordinary, actually. You know how you're always lamenting the lack of train games? Oh, you think there's too many train games? Well, how do you feel about trams? They're really quite different if you think about it. There's no steam or coal, and instead of rails, you're laying down tramways. Okay, it's true. Tramways is another train game. You build routes, deliver cargo, make money, get points, rinse, and repeat. But don't write it off just yet. Train games run a surprisingly wide gamut in terms of complexity and playstyle, from set collection to route building to stock markets. That leaves plenty of room for games to stake their plot in the train game landscape. Imagine a subway map where each line is run by a separate person, and the goal isn't to get people to their destinations as quickly as possible, but to create the most rails, earn the most money, and have people ride your line for as long as possible. And that's the premise of Tramways. Gameplay revolves around your personal deck of action cards. The cards have multiple uses, and you'll add more to your deck periodically throughout the game. In order to expand your tramway network, you'll play these cards on your turn. The exact actions you take are dictated by the cards you play and how you choose to utilize them. You can lay rails by playing cards with rail symbols. The amount of rails you lay is dependent on the amount of rail symbols you play. You'll also need a destination symbol to indicate where the rail sections will connect. If you use multiple symbols on the same card, you must increase your stress marker, and you always exhaust one of your workers. After playing your cards, you lay rails on the main board comprised of straights or curves in your color. In this way, the player networks will grow and sprawl across the map as players fight over hotly contested real estate and providing the sense of creation that I enjoy so much. After you've laid some rail, you can start transporting passengers. To do so, you play a card with the destination symbol you want the passenger to go to, along with a card to be used as a ticket, signified by the magnetic strip on the side. You then select a passenger on the board and move them along the rails to their destination. Players will receive money and victory points if the rails were used along the journey. Placing your tracks in high-trafficked areas can prove very lucrative as multiple players utilize them. Finally, you construct buildings by playing the appropriate symbol and a parcel symbol. This will develop an empty parcel into a building. This can be important because transporting passengers to the various buildings will reward you with special benefits such as an increased hand size or more powerful action cards. Additionally, a new passenger is placed on the board in the newly constructed building. The game continues and you'll earn victory points for all the rail sections and buildings you've constructed, transporting passengers, and occasionally cashing in at the leisure buildings. But to talk about tramways without talking about the auctions would be borderline negligent. Every round begins with an auction. When you make your bid, you must pay immediately, and you cannot place the same bid as a player marker that is to the left of you on the auction board. If the auction bid comes back around, you must change your bid to a different value, again paying immediately. If you have the highest bid on the board when your turn comes around, you immediately move to the leftmost available space on the turn order track. Be careful though, as going first will increase your stress. The auction continues until turn order is determined for all players. Passing is a legitimate option, but will place you in the last available spot for the round. It's an auction system unlike any other I've encountered and can lead to some wild outcomes. It's quite possible that the player who spent the most money will not win the first place turn order spot. Smart timing can often trump deep pockets. Remember that stress stuff I mentioned a couple of times? Well, those become negative points at the end of the game, and just like in real life, reducing stress is harder than gaining it. It's a punishing system to be sure, but it adds an enjoyable amount of tension to the game. With new maps on the way and a large set of double-sided map tiles already included in the game, there's no threat of the game experience running stale. It's exciting to know that my games of Tramways will vary in significant ways, but the rules I've internalized will carry over effortlessly. But the less said about the included tiddlywink money, the better.